Welcome back to the weekly news roundup. I hope you guys are having yourself a wonderful week. I am over here in the, well, it's not sunny right now, cloudy state of California, I guess. We're broadcasting live from the top of a hill next to a volcano. And then tomorrow I'll be shimmering on into one of the central valleys. So that'll be fun. But we're going to go ahead and start in with the news tonight. And just a brief reminder, these are recorded live Fridays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and we do co-stream YouTube, Odyssey, Rumble, Twitch, and DLive, and you can catch the show any one of those places there as well. We also have supporter links. Those are in the description, and we will also mention those supporter links throughout the news program tonight. With that, let's go ahead and dive right on into the news. First up, Californians. Hey, I'm here in California right now. Do I count as a Californian if I stay here for a couple weeks? Californians can now scrub personal information sold to advertisers with the first in U.S. law. This is more of an update story. We talked about this act earlier. It has been officially signed into law by Gavin Newsom. Occasionally see a clock is right at least twice a day. I mean, and when you hear that expression, I'm sorry, you young people, we are referring to those old face clocks that when they stopped working, they just stationary sat at one time, and twice a day those would be right. Unless it was a military time clock. Now, these new fanangled digital clocks, when they're broken, they don't work at all. They're never right. But anyway, it's a good old expression for us boomers. So, Gavin Newsom, wrong about a lot, right about this one. He signed into law the Delete Act. So this takes the California privacy protection law further by requiring every data broker that has data on Californians to register with the state, and they have to have the estate now has a single place that a California resident can go to, a one-click button, no data broker at all can have any of your data. This is exactly what we need on a national level, because I do not consent to my data being bought and sold and traded and harvested and all sorts of stuff throughout. Of course, all of the ad agencies are going, this is going to hurt our core business. Good. You guys have been spreading deceit and disgust through the world as long as it has been around. You want to tell me about an awesome product, that's fine, do that. You want to interrupt my video or my website or other stuff, injecting nonsense into it that you think I might want to see? I'm sorry, go to hell. And so California is telling them just where to go. Of course, you have to be in hell to have this apply to you. So there you go. So there we have it. The new bill is going to bolster the protections for the California privacy protection and establishing a list of all of those companies. And then those companies have to delete things. So there is actually a company called Delete Me. This is one of those privacy-based companies that they lobbied hard for it. Civil liberties and privacy advocacy groups have always called for stronger ones. And somewhere in here is the crying quote from the poor advertisers. Proponents of the bill have lauded it as less tedious and more user-friendly way of reinforcing existing California laws. Many advertising companies have argued it would undermine their industry. Okay, I have a plan for you. If you would like to have my data and buy and share and sell it, fine. Cut me in at 25% of the profits. I'll let you keep the other 75% for running the infrastructure. You do that and you're sending me a check every month for all the places you sold my data for advertising? Sure, I'm in. But don't sit here and cry to me that California is saying I cannot take the data of some person that did not consent to me collecting that data and make money off of it. Piss off. I don't care what you think. All right. Let's see. Don't allow for that. TechCrunch is getting exciting with their pop-ups now. Google lobbies against legally mandated age verification for minors. Once again, the broken clock is right. What is going on? Guys, the end time is truly here. I have to agree with Gavin Newsom and Google in the same stream. Oh, man. The Antichrist must be coming down from the sky as we have it. Is there any keeping an eye on Jerusalem right now? Is there anything going on in that temple? Oh, Lordy. But of course, there's been this constant push for people wanting to say, well, we can't have teenagers on the internet. We have to age verify those poor kiddos so that we know who's a kid and who's not a kid on the internet. And this way we know who we can market to and who we can't. And Google's like, oh, this is a bad idea. And I agree with Google. Look at this. I agree with Google. Hell is certainly freezing over. Let's see. So basically Google's like, the problem we have with this is that now we have to have an ID for everybody, because everybody now, despite saying, well, you have to prove they're not minors. Well, this means that you have to collect the ID of everybody, and those who can't do it, you have to assume that they are a minor. But that being said, I personally think that kids should not be on social media, but I do not think that that is something that the government should be mandating. I'm even talking to you, state of Montana, with your banning TikTok. I'm sorry. The kids should probably not be on social media, but this is what we have parents for. The unfortunate thing in our world is we have parents that are just as much ignoramuses. We're like, I can't control what my kid does anyway, so I'm just going to roll over and wave this white flag for a while. No, step up and be a parent, mom and dad, and be like, no, there's steps I can take. Sure, you may not keep them all off of everything, but the parent who steps in is going to have a lot more success than the one who doesn't. Sure, they're going to go watch some video on their friends because their friend's parent is a nincompoop, but at least at home, they're fine, and you can feel fairly confident that they're going to bed at night without staring at a screen until they daze off into hypnosis. This is the parent's prerogative, not the government's prerogative. And so Google says the only place this should be done, this paragraph here, they say the company states the data intrusive models such as verification with government IDs should be limited to high-risk services that deal with alcohol, gambling, or porn. For context, Louisiana recently passed a law that requires age verification to access adult websites in an attempt to prevent kids from seeing online nasties. Google framework is not against age verification in this manner. I personally am, because, you know, you're not going to stop it. There's always a way around, and even if you drive people down, it's the same thing with the banning of Backpage, force people to go deeper and deeper, where it's infinitely harder to figure it out, versus when it's on Backpage, hey, at least you can drive by the address every once in a while and see what's going on, you know. So I even disagree in this case here, just because there's too many ways around it. You know, maybe we do need to keep alcohol and gambling and this adult stuff off the internet, but good luck with that. Once again, we have these things called parents, and they should be stepping into making sure that your kids are reasonably under control and understand the importance of being under control. And that certainly is an important principle. But I guess the one thing we can say to give them a little bit of a caveat is it is becoming harder and harder to regulate what is on the internet. And really, if there's any place we need government regulation, I would like to see more government regulation to say, hey, I need to be able to control the back-end infrastructure. Even if it's not easy, same thing with the Apple sideloading, even if it's not easy, I want to be able to buy any phone from any store and put a custom operating system on this. I want to be able to get any router from any store and be able to run a system that allows me to have a good parental filter. I think that DNS over HTTPS should be illegal. Is it going to stop it? Of course it's not. But it's going to seriously curb it among legitimate services, because DNS over HTTPS, as we described in our stream yesterday, allows you to break out of those firewalls that you may put in place to protect your family. And the guy that doesn't have kids, or he's just a disgusting pervert that wants to get online and enjoy himself to adult content, who cares? You know, but I don't think he should have to show an ID if he's just he himself and his sausage in his bedroom. No, stay out of the dude's bedroom. You know? But give me the power as a parent if I want to put these things into effect for myself and prevent companies from going around my safeguards and my protections. So it is a complicated situation, but there you go. VPN users in Tanzania will soon be forced to reveal what they do online. So everyone trying to use a VPN right now, Tanzania basically says that, hey, there's some things we think are illegal and you shouldn't be able to do on the internet. And so anybody who is using a VPN has to self-report what they're doing on that VPN and what their IP address is. So, of course, the legitimate businesses, the people like, okay, I'm on a VPN so I can access my resources at work. Government's like, okay, no big deal. But if you're like, hey, I'm on a VPN because I don't think the government should have any say in what I'm looking at, they're going to be like, well, that is 5 million buckaroos in the local currency, which is about $2,000 US, and a minimum of 12 months in jail. So you're on a VPN and you're not going to tell me why? Well, $2,000 and a year in jail. Have fun with that. Obviously, the human rights people are going, this is a little bit heavy-handed here, but hey, it's a new law in effect. So there you go. So this is, I think they have until the end of October. You have to self-report all of the information about VPN usage that you have to the authorities, or the Gestapo is going to come and drag you off and throw you in jail for a while. So sounds like a wonderful world we're starting to brew into, and I just cannot believe that there's people in our country that are really wanting this type of heavy-handed influence on our world. But it's happening, so there you go. And our final story in privacy is this PayPal Google integration. So now PayPal's app, so this applies to you normies who are actually installing a PayPal app on your device. If you're watching this channel, shame on you. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. All right. But if you are, maybe you need it. Okay, maybe you're a business person, you need it. PayPal's app can now give you a tab on tracking your orders. But they're saying, hey, we even want to be able to show you the orders that you didn't order with our service. And so how are they going to do this? Well, they have a Google integration. So you can be an idiot and actually merge your Google account with your PayPal account to allow PayPal to scan your emails for tracking numbers and information regarding shipping. Yes, sounds like a great thing. I need to pause the stream right now so I can go and integrate my Google account with my PayPal account. I'm sorry. I also have some land in Montana to sell you. It's oceanfront property. Would anybody like to buy it? So there you have it. PayPal says rather than manually entering the order number into a carrier website or searching your inbox and finding the delivery status of the package, PayPal can now automatically gather shipping details and tracking them through the Gmail integration. However, if you don't have a Gmail account linked to PayPal, you can type in the tracking details. PayPal's app then sends live push notifications when delivery status changes, and there's been an update to the order. You know, I could actually go and click on the link in the email and see that myself. I don't really need to include PayPal in the shipping that I have of other things. This to me sounds like PayPal's trying to collect a lot of money. Also, being is that PayPal is trying to be, if you remember the antitrust suit we talked about with PayPal, was it last week or the week before, where people are saying, yeah, PayPal's engaging in antitrust by telling business owners if you're using PayPal, you may not undercut the price. I'm wondering if PayPal is going to use this data about things you ordered to look through and figure out how those are paid for and utilize the data to look back and find people who are violating their policies. I think that there's some serious concern about this, and I would highly encourage nobody to integrate your Gmail account through your PayPal account. Even the fact you have a Gmail account to me is just odd and strange. I mean, I know for you having a Gmail account, I feel about the same way as you, as the average person thinks about me when I say, yeah, I live in this van, until, of course, you get a chance to see where I live and can hang out on top of this cliff overlooking a volcano and a lake. It takes away all of that. But yeah, that's what PayPal's up to. So you can integrate all that kind of stuff in and give more data that wasn't PayPal's business, and they're going to use that data against you, I promise you. Well, if you'd like to help support the channel, we do use affiliates. Say we are highlighting A2 Hosting. Excellent small business hosting company. They have shared servers starting as low as $3 a month on the, that's for the introductory price, which I think you can still buy up to 3 years at a time. So you can get a really good discount for the next 3 years. And then it goes up to like $8.99, I think. They're really good plans. They also have VPS hosting, dedicated hosting. Don't ever use WordPress hosting, please. Don't ever do that. Then they have dedicated servers, managed VPSs, things like that. I actually ran a lot of my client hosting on a big server on them for a while until cPanel jacked up the prices. I had to switch over to Linode, which dropped my cost almost in half. So, but that's because I manage tons and tons of websites for people. But A2 Hosting, still an excellent hosting company. I love them. I love the fact every time I've had to call them on the phone, I get right on into them, and several of my clients are still on them, and we still have no problem anywhere. So tlm.li/A2H. That is tlm.li/A2H. And with that, let's head on over to security news. First up with security, we have a new type of bug. I've never heard of quishing before. I've heard of phishing, but I've not heard of quishing. So quishing is what happened when you replace the PH with a Q. So effectively, this is utilizing QR codes. Now, I told the story a couple weeks ago. I was in Wyoming, and I drive by the shopping mall to see if it was still open. And rather than having hours posted on the door so you could see it when you drive by, they had a QR code. So if I am driving by to see if the mall is open, I would have to stop my car, probably in the fire lane, because if I'm going to be, lazy enough to drive by to see if I can read the door, the hours on the door, okay, I am certainly not parking a spot to walk up, take my phone, and scan a QR code on the door to see what your hours are. This is probably the stupidest application of a QR code I probably have ever seen. It comes into a close second than the bums in China with QR codes that you can scan the QR code on the bum's piece of paper and donate digitally to them. So I just don't understand this world. But inside of this, quishing is where people will send out QR codes. So you scan the QR code. Of course, what a QR code does, particularly on your app, is you scan it with your thing and it just immediately takes you somewhere. Isn't it so convenient? Yeah, except when that QR code is taking you to a malicious website, which is easy enough to do. You just put together a malicious website, then you go online and you have one of these free QR code generators generate you a QR code, and then you print that up on a sticker and you go and plaster it around town, and then you see how many people are like, oh, there's a QR code. I wonder what that is. And then they do this, and now you have compromised their device. So two-dimensional barcodes, hold encoded data, blah, blah, blah. They're being used in malicious campaigns simply by forcing them out. So here's an example of an email that I certainly can't read. I'm either have drank too much water today, or that's in another language. Okay. I'm kidding. No, it's another language. It looks German. Is that German or not? Anyway, you scan the QR code, and if you scan the QR code, then it's going to take you to a malicious place, and then you are landing in a bad spot. So be careful with anybody sending you QR codes now. It's the same thing with Bitly links. I do not use Bitly links. So that little link that I have in between my videos, tlm.li, that is my own personal self-hosted link shortener. Okay, you will never see me using a Bitly link to link to something, and I would highly encourage nobody to ever use a Bitly link, because you can freely create the Bitly links and you don't know where they're going. Okay, at least on mine, I control the link shortener, and so I know what it's doing. So once again, just don't follow Bitly links and don't scan random QR codes. If somebody sends you an email with a QR code in it, just send back a laughing emoji or something like that. Back to California, a Californian IT company, DNA Micro, leaks private mobile phone data. You might be saying, who's this company? Never heard of them. No, probably most of you never have, but they are the company that services warranties for several cell phone related products, particularly OtterBoxes and other Strong Shield cases and screen protectors for various smartphones. So the leaked private data, was it millions, I think? How many was it? Okay, so they exposed 820,000 customers due to a misconfiguration in the system. The leaked data was full names, addresses, phone numbers, email addresses, warranty claim status, phone models, purchase dates, IMEI numbers, which is critical. Somebody gets that with all this other information, you better just smash your device and buy a new one, because this is going to be every bit of information somebody needs to do a SIM swap attack on you. Also, the store which the item was purchased and the cell carrier. They literally have been handed everything they need to do a SIM swap attack on you. Very easy. Very easy. So companies that were affected, InstaProtect, OtterBox, LiquidPel, Health and Safety, LJP Construction Services, AMP 23.5, and Intutu. So if you have filled out a warranty card from any of those particular places, your data is likely compromised. So basically, if you've picked up one of those things, like there, you open up the thing, there's a thing inside the thing where you're supposed to put there's a thing inside your thing. Am I not technical today? There's a little piece of paper inside of your phone case where your phone's supposed to slide into. You pull that out, and it's got like the warranty information. And if you fill out that warranty information and the OtterBox breaks, you can get a new OtterBox. But you got to fill out that information. Well, everybody who filled out that information, yeah, your data possibly just leaked, and you should just get rid of your device now, because it's possible somebody's going to compromise it. So there's that. That's exciting to know. KeePass. I thought that was supposed to be my last one. Oh, no, never mind. One more from my last one. This is not KeePass XC, the application I use for my manager, but this is KeePass, the application by which that was forked off of. So this is nothing bad to do with KeePass specifically. This is a malvertising campaign attacking KeePass. And so with this KeePass here, they're using a few different methodologies here of obfuscation just to get beyond it. So it's combining not just the malvertising, but malvertising with a few other of the elements we've talked about on this channel in the past. So the first thing, of course, they're doing is malicious ads for KeePass. So here's your KeePass. So here is what you have, and it looks as though it's going to the right spot. Okay, KeePass.info, which is their legitimate site. The problem is that they are using a Puni code, which allows you to use various ASCII characters as what they're supposed to or designed to look like, which unfortunately means with KeePass info, you end up with this little caret down here because it's actually not a K. It's a separate individual caret. So when you actually go and click on that link, you'll see, if you look really, really closely on the URL bar, it's KeePass with the little accent down there. Now, if you disable Puni code on Mozilla will not be tricked by this, and you'll get some weird extra crap. The problem is that most cases are, and most people are not going to just disable this. And a number of people are getting there. This is why we all need to run ad blockers, regardless of what YouTube wants to say or other things, because there's too many malicious ads. These are Google ads. These are Google ads. And Google wants to lock us out of YouTube if we do not disable an ad blocker? I'm sorry, Google, fix your crap. So here is on the left is the legitimate site. On the right is the fake site. So you see they have some similarities, and you can go ahead and click the download now button there, and you will have downloaded malware. So here's the digital information, and here is the malware that is installing into your system in the registry. Isn't that so wonderful? So we have a number of different things combining. We have the URL jacking combined with the malvertising campaign, combined with the installing the malware onto your system from there. So here are the indicators. So ad domains, here's KeePassTracking.site. xn-ee pass-vbb.info. So you can see that they're doing a number of different things. Here's the installer, and here's the malware, and the payload is refreshment.com/package.tar.gpg. So there you have it. Be aware of downloading this. Of course, if you're using Linux, just install KeePass XC from your software repository or from FlatHub, and you will be safe. And on to our last story here in security. Android is now working on a side loading of apps for malware at the time of install. That's the bad news. The worst news is that if you try to install something, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to say, oh, why don't you use this thing from the Google Play Store instead? And then, of course, they're going to tell you if something is malware or whatever else, and they'll block it. There's the don't install button. I hope you can be like, more details. Yeah, don't give a crap. Let me install this thing, because how long before this guy is going to be like, hey, everything that's not the Google Play Store is malicious. Now, the good news is those of us utilizing Lineage or Graphene OS generally are not going to be impacted unless you happen to install the G apps, because this is a function of the Google Play Store. So it's not something embedded in Android itself. It requires the Google Play Store. And of course, the Google Play Store is going to be looking at what you're trying to sideload and say, hey, I think you should use this app instead. It comes from us. Now, of course, they have this little chart that to me seems a little bogus about the percentage of potentially harmful acts by market share. Look at this, inside Google Play and outside Google Play. Okay, then please explain to me how it is every single time we hear about malicious apps, it's apps from the Google Play Store with millions of installs. I mean, I get it. You don't want to go to some weird, shady place on the internet and then install some weird app. Okay? We don't want to do that, for sure. Guaranteed. But that being said, guys, to throw up a chart that looks like this is a bunch of nonsense. Also, you'll see 2016, 17, 18. Okay, 2018 was 5 years ago. This is technology. You want to give us an accurate chart? I bet the reason they didn't give us an accurate chart is because the numbers are completely inversed. Because Google Play Store is full of malware. You should be using F-Droid instead and use free and open source apps. Well, if you want to help support the channel, we do have a Patreon page, patreon.com/TOMM. TOMM. You can find the page over there. That'll help support all of the channels that we have. So you can jump on over there and help support us with that. Of course, we'll be doing science fiction short stories, which the last science fiction short story was just posted on Monday. We have the text and we have the audiobook version, and that is on Patreon and all of my other support channels as well. So if you are a channel supporter, you can go ahead and head on over to those and grab that, and that is the book Lockdown. So 8,000 words. That one was a short story, a little bit longer than I like, but hey, I already had it written and I was looking for a better place to use it. So you can have a look over there. Patreon does help support the channel, keeps the things running over here, and takes off stress off of the regular day job that I need to do. With that, let's head on over to business news. First up in business news, a Zipcar was hit with the Fed's first ever fine for rented out recalled cars. So, of course, if your car gets a recall, depending on the recall, you may not be able to sell it without fixing the recall. There's some things going on. Well, Zipcar's like, dude, we're not doing this recall on all these cars. That's going to cost us money. We have to keep these things going. And so Zipcar just keeps them on there. And they were hit with a first-of-its-kind fine for renting vehicles with open, unrepaired recalls, the agency announced. Federal Safety Agency regulates vehicle recalls in USA. Its scope expanded with the Safe Rental Car Act of 2016, and they named one recall in particular in Zipcar investigation documents. The recall concerns 2015 to 2017 Ford Transit vans, as many as 373,000 transits made during those years. The coupling between the transmission and the drive shaft may deteriorate and crack. Well, that sounds like a problem. Potentially causing power loss while driving. The issue may also cause unintended vehicle movement in park. And so Zipcar needs to get those fixed up, and they didn't. So the civil penalty totals $300,000. Zipcar must pay $150,000 up front. It can avoid paying the other half by meeting some demands, including updating employee training manuals according to the agency's order. Well, Zipcar received the first of such one. I hope that they have, like, fixing the recalls is probably a condition. I would hope anyway. But it is a government issue in the United States, so sanity may not be high on their list of priorities. So there you go. And there's more stuff about eBay, whatever. We talked about eBay enough. All right. So, there you go. Zipcar hit with fines for renting out recalled vehicles. That's exciting. Mazda issues a DMCA takedown request and kills a hobbyist smart car API tool. So yeah, if you have these new finagled cars that happen to have connections with, infotainment systems and APIs, then you start tinkering around. Mazda might issue you a DMCA takedown because, of course, they're tracking everything that you do in your car, including apparently the So before last week, owners of certain Mazda vehicles also had Home Assistant set up, could create some handy connections to the car. So if you have a Home Assistant, your car gets in the vicinity of your Wi-Fi, you could set a bunch of different things. So one driver had a charger that would only power when it confirmed his car was plugged in and would alert him if the trunk was open. I'm guessing that the car would have to be plugged in to charge. So I must not be reading that one right. Let's see. Charger would only power on... maybe it's a phone charger. I don't know. Whatever. Another used it to control their charger based on the dynamic prices. You'd think that this is something Mazda would welcome. Hey, we have an electric car here, and we want to charge the car only when the prices are cheap, and not charge the car when it costs me more money. You'd think that they'd be into it because, when the prices are cheap, this is when power demands are better, and it's more green energy. This is why they mark them cheaper, the power price is cheaper in certain times, so that they can encourage you to use green energy. So you'd think that they would like that, but no, you can't do that. This guy was using it to check for gas before the morning commute and send an alert if the windows were down, before rain if it was forecasted, and one of them was remotely unlock the car unlock and start the car in cold conditions. So you can do all sorts of fun stuff. However, Mazda had issues with the project, which was largely a free time work of one software development, Brandon Rothweller. In the DMCA notice to GitHub, Mazda, or an authorized agent, alleges his integration contains code that is violating their copyright ownership, use certain Mazda information, including proprietary API information, to create code and information, and contains code that provides functionality that is the same as what is currently in Mazda's app. That last one really gets me. This is actually the same thing Apple does. Why there are so few alternative browsers on iOS, and why you can't have an app on iOS that competes with a core function of the phone. Well, what if I do not want to use your app version, and what if I want to use something I have instead? Well, you can't do that because the function you built using completely different code does something that is similar to the app we use in our code. I just paid thousands and thousands of dollars for your car, and now you're telling me what I can and can't do with it. I'm sorry. This is antitrust. I think that Mazda needs to be slapped upside the head by a judge. I think whoever filed this DMCA complaint needs to be slapped silly. Pull out every form of influence. I mean, make this person not be allowed to get on the internet. There you go. That'd be fun. So one day later, he made a pull request to the Home Assistant core project. I'm removing the Mazda integration due to legal notices sent to me by Mazda. Home Assistant project pushed an update to remove the integration. And they noted that they were disappointed that Mazda has decided to take this position, and that Mazda's first recourse was not to reach out to us and the maintainer, but to send a cease and desist letter instead. Because screw Mazda. We got to get like Louis Rossman's take on this too. That'd be fun. This is why I do not want any modern cars. Stop telling me what I can and can't do. And for God's sake, if I need an app to interact with my car, I'm sorry, just off me now. Come on. Jeez. Lord help us. Well, X, formerly Twitter, now is charging new users $1 per year in select markets. So Elon Musk continues to kill it, not for the reasons that crazy psychopathic leftists claim. Oh my God, the hate speech is running wild. I'm sorry, Twitter's a lot better place than it was as far as the content's concerned. Hey, at least I'm not going to stumble on like illegal child content, which he handled in the first week of owning it, despite it was a long-term issue with the site. But he is doing other things which completely destroys the usefulness and functionality. Obviously, the one time he had it so that you could not access anything without being logged in, that's now reversed. But when you go and land on somebody's page, you don't get an up-to-date feed. You get a feed based on the highest rated posts, which is completely useless information because most people have used Twitter who don't have a Twitter account. You could still use Twitter for very important things. So like, I don't have a Twitter account. Government issues something. I can't find out information, but I can find their Twitter page and they're showing me, instead of what's relevant that the government just posted, they're showing me, a post from 6 years ago about, some police car painted with rainbows or something. So a bunch of nonsense. He's completely killing that. Now he wants to kill it by completely cutting off new thing. Obviously, he's saying if it's paid, then we're going to cut down on bots. I doubt it. It's a buck. But he's experimenting, not here in the United States, but he's experimenting this in other countries where all new accounts will be charged $1 per year. And they're saying this is going to stop botting. It's not, because these bots make way more money than $1 a year. That's why they released them. Starting today, we're testing a new program, not a bot, in New Zealand and Philippines. Okay, I'm a Bible reader. Whatever that country is, Philippines. New unverified accounts will be required to sign up for a $1 annual subscription to be able to post and interact with other posts. Within this test, existing users are not affected. So there you have it. They're trying to do new crap to make sure that, nobody has any good experience on Twitter, because Twitter is starting to really suck. And, of course, they're also sucking by throttling links. Patreon links, patreon.com/TOMM, if you want to help support my channel. Twitter is throttling Patreon links, the creator says. This is undermining their livelihood. Now, in reality, this is a first world problem. They're delaying the links by 2.5 seconds. If you can't wait the time it takes to cook a Pop-Tart in a microwave for a page to load, you have patience problems. But that being said, though, the app here is throttling Patreon, WhatsApp, and Meta Messenger apps, according to Markup, who have released a tool and testing this. They're saying that these sites are delayed an average of 2.5 seconds. Which is historical. Now they checked other links that were not any of these, and those loaded instantly. So basically, Twitter itself appears to be throttling links to other external sites, probably because Twitter would like to have control of its own, its own everything here. They're trying to become an everything app to, do a store and do a communication and be a video streaming platform, all this kind of nonsense. All this stuff I have zero interest in at all. So I don't know. At some point in time, if they start charging, like Twitter to me is not super useful. If they start charging globally for Twitter, yeah, you can expect the Switch to Linux Twitter feed will probably die at that point in time. I don't know. I'll have to reevaluate. Maybe if we have 2,000 or 3,000 people following at that point in time, we won't. Maybe it'll be worth it at that point. I don't know. I haven't decided. But this is just more scummy garbage from Twitter. Of course, X, but no, when it's x.com or whatever else, and everything is X and all the Twitter stuff is gone, maybe, just maybe, I'll think about changing my branding. And of course, our last one here is the GrayJ app. This has hit a lot of the open source news. However, after some discussions, particularly with Salbu, this is not an open source app, despite Louis Rossmann saying, hey, it's a new open source app. It is not open source, and we're going to explain why it is in a moment. Is it horrible? No, not necessarily, particularly if you use it. Now, I personally, at this time, I am not a customer of this app. Not at all. And the reason is they only have an Android app. There is no other app in any way, shape, or form. Just an Android app. I do not watch any content on my phone. My phone is a communication device. That is it. Okay, I do not sit there and do anything on my phone that's not basic communication stuff. So I am not a customer, first and foremost. Now, you'll notice that Fox News, because Fox News knows what they're talking about, they're not calling it an open source app. They keep on calling it a source available app. And the reason is there are restrictions on what you can do. Now, granted, those restrictions are positive in a way, but they are still restrictions, and that means it is not an open source app. So if you're unfamiliar with what this is a project that Louis Rossmann has been working on. And what this allows you to do is integrate a variety of different content platforms. You know, you just hear YouTube, Twitch, Odyssey, Patreon, Rumble's in there, and PeerTube is in there. And he said, hey, if there's other people out there, you can go ahead and let us know, and we'll get those integrated in as well. The idea here is that you subscribe to a content creator, not a platform directing to that content creator. So the overarching idea is a good idea. So if you were to be using the GrayJ app, and you're subscribed to Switch to Linux, and the Tubies decides it found an old archived K-word video, and it decides, oh my God, a K-word video, boots this guy off for a couple weeks. You can still, without skipping a beat, you don't even know I'm not there because it's going to curate the stuff from Odyssey and Rumble and the other places as well. And so the app is a really good idea. Now, the source is available. So if you wanted to take the source and edit it and adjust it and compile it and install it on your own device, you can do that. I think even some forms of distribution, are also possible. And they've said, we're not going to care if you take it and you add another functionality that we didn't think about and put it in there. But where they put restrictions on the app is that you are not allowed to fork the app, put in tracking code. There were two elements. Tracking code was one of them, like analytics code to measure things. And what was the other one? There was one more. You could not do those two things and then redistribute the app. Those are the things they said they did not release it under an open source license specifically. So if somebody tried to release the GrayJ app under, with data tracking or things like that, or advertising, I think was the other one, with advertising or with data tracking, then at that point in time, they would reserve the right to take that down. And his reason for doing that was he thought of like NewPipe. He talked about using NewPipe, and then somebody had forked NewPipe and then put a bunch of malicious garbage onto it and then put that on the Google Play Store, because as we talked about earlier, the Google Play Store is full of malware. And so people were downloading NewPipe, quote unquote, off of the Google Play Store, and it was a horrible experience. And people were telling him, "Wow, why are you recommending this bad thing?" Well, he realized what they were doing, so he wanted to block his application from being able to do that. And so you can't get it and put in advertising or trackers and redistribute it, but you could redistribute it in other ways as well. Now, why is this not open source? Because there is a specific open source definition. A free redistribution shall not restrict any party from selling or giving away the software as a component or aggregating the software. So already they violate free redistribution, so it is not an open source application. Source code is available. A license must allow for modifications and derivative work and must allow them to be distributed under the same terms of license as the original software, so they violate that one. Integrity of the author's source code, no discrimination against persons or groups, no discrimination against fields or endeavors. They technically are doing this. If I wanted to take the app and put advertising in it to benefit me, they are discriminating against a field of endeavor to make money on the app. I agree with the use of that, but that is technically a violation of the open source distribution license. License must not be specific to a product, and license must not restrict other software, and license must be technology neutral. And so that really is why it is not an open source app. although it is a good app. He's even said, you have to pay for it, but there's really nothing to stop you from not paying for it. And he was very clear in his video about it. So overall, I think it's a good app if you're a person who watches content on your phone, particularly an Android phone. You can get the application, you can sideload it, you can play with it, you can decide it's worth your money. It's just not open source for that reason. I don't have personal quibs against it for that particular reason. The only reason I'm not a customer is I just don't do anything on my phone with content. Now, if you released a Linux desktop application of this, I would seriously look at considering it. I play with it and I might buy it, so just it's an interesting application. So that is our thoughts with there. If you want to help support the channel, we do use affiliates. Today we're highlighting Linode or Akamai, whatever it's called these days. So tlm.li/Linode. That'll get you $100 in credit. Good for signing up. I'm still using Linode for a lot of my things. I use Linode and DigitalOcean, splitting my server content load across those two different platforms. So if one of them goes completely crazy, hey, I can jump to the other one, a little bit less stress. But tlm.li/Linode will give you $100 in credit, good for 60 days. You can spin up some Linodes, see what it can do for you. And with that, we're going to jump on over to SillyVille, your favorite place and mine. First up, our non-tech related one that was just too comical leading up into the week before Halloween here. A groundskeeper mistakes a naked dead body lying face down in a yard for a Halloween prop and mows around it. Over in UK, this guy's killed apparently, and his naked dead body is thrown on the lawn, and the groundskeeper's like, oh, that's an interesting decoration. Just mows right around the guy. Or he came by the weed whacker. But of course, known druggie in the neighborhood. Nobody's really all that surprised. You can tell from these gang shots that how upstanding of a gentleman he was, But there you have it. Be careful here in Halloween, and if you need to hide a body. Okay. Well, there we have it. Are we still broadcasting over here on YouTube now? All right. Good. All right, and on to our techie ones. Netflix plans to open a brick and mortar store locations. So in every other company's like, these brick and mortar stores are costing too much money. Netflix is like, hey, we can afford it. We are jacking up your prices again, folks. I threw that story out of business, but yes, Netflix is raising your prices, I think another 17% now. And so, yeah, more and more people are coming in, and Netflix is drawing in more and more your money because you guys refuse to do like Jellyfin and have good servers and things that you can actually control what's on there and not worry about Netflix jacking up your price. And but they're creating brick and mortar locations. The brick and mortar locations would be like comedy club type things, retail store offers, dining, live entertainment, leveraging TV shows and movies. We're going to have a live action Stranger Things. So they're going to bring some like Demogorgon or something in to eat people. I don't know. That'd be entertaining, I guess. So Netflix aims to open a network of stores offering retail, dining, live entertainment to leverage your TV shows. It's not announced what it will be selling. It is unclear if DVDs or any type of physical media would be part of the inventory. Hey, they will have a lot of DVDs unless people have decided to keep them all. So there you have it. So stay tuned for your Netflix store near you. Replacing Blockbuster. Isn't this full circle? You know what they should really do? They should buy up all the old Blockbuster buildings that still have the Blockbuster things there. They should buy them all up and make DVD rental stores. That'd be epic. All right. Well, this guy's charged a $1.4 million speeding ticket. So in Georgia, if you are speeding over a certain speed, then it's an immediate crime. I think it's driving more than 35 miles an hour above the speed limit. You have to appear in court where the judge will determine the actual fine. So instead of actually printing out tickets with fines or saying fine will be established at court, they just print out the ticket saying $1.4 million appear in court, buddy. What? And so it's just really bad, coding on their end. They're saying, oh, the $1.4 million is really a placeholder that's automatically generated by the e-citation software used by the local recorder's court. What is this? A diversity hire application? It works good enough. Let's just send it out. But sure, people are going to get $1.4 million tickets. Well, they shouldn't be speeding. Okay. Georgia State Police said, yeah, the fines cannot exceed $1,000 in addition to state mandated costs. So, yeah, be a few $1,000s, but can't exceed $1,000 fine specifically for that. We do not issue the placeholders a threat to scare anybody into court, even if this person has heard differently from somebody else in our organization. Well, he did hear differently from somebody else in our organization. The written piece of paper that you sent him, which, by the way, the written contract, it's like a contract. So it's like... Yeah, so there you go. Don't speed in Georgia, guys. Don't speed in Georgia. And on to our last story. Yes, Z scamming. It does turn out that boomers are not the most likely victim of internet schemes, probably because the boomers are overly suspicious. But nevertheless, Gen Z is 3 times more likely to fall for an online scam than a boomer is. So if somebody had told me Gen Z falls for online scams 3 times as often as boomers do, I'd have to simply reply, okay, boomer. But it turns out it's true. So Gen Z falls for online scams more than their boomer grandparents do. And I really think the reason is because these guys have been trained that if something pops up in front of them, they have to fill it out. They are trained by the concentration camps called schools in this country to be obedient little people who have no critical thinking. And they're just like, oh, a form showed up. I got to fill it out. I get a free thing. I remember, in fact, I was at one place one time, and I think it was like a church. Young couple, Gen Z era, were coming in, and a local car dealer sent out marketing things that looked like it was handwritten notes. It looked like handwritten notes. And they send these out to everybody. And I get this. I laugh at it. I throw it in the trash can. Well, the person brings it in the church like, you know, we got this handwritten note from this car dealer. They really want to buy our car. I'm like, are you really this gullible? Are you really? Do you know how to wipe your butt? You know? But that being said, people fall for this kind of crap. Of course, here's the Grammy. Do they deliver emails on Sunday? You know, but compared to older generations, younger generations have reported higher rates of victimization and phishing, identity theft, romance scams, and cyberbullying. Cyberbullying is understandable. The old geezer doesn't care. So the Deltoid service shows that Gen Z Americans were 3 times more likely to get caught up in online scams than boomers, or 16% and 5% respectively, compared to boomers. Gen Z was also twice as likely to have a social media account hacked, 17% and 18%. 14% of Gen Zers surveyed said they had their location information misused, more than any other generation. So, yeah, these guys are idiots. Not all of them. The tech informed ones are not going to fall for it, but by and large, in the normie Z gens, yeah, they're susceptible to all this scamming. So, whatever that's worth. Well, if you want to help support the channel, we do have a Subscribe Star page, subscribestar.com/switched-to-linux. You can jump on over there, help support the channel. We do have our science fiction stuff. There you go. There's our next science fiction stories over there. We're doing one science fiction story related to modern technology. You can jump on for as little as $1 a month. Help support the show on over there and grab those in either print form or audiobook form. So with that, thanks for watching, and we will see you all next time. Thank you for watching this video from Switched to Linux. This channel would not be possible without the backing of the program supporters scrolling on the screen now. You can be a supporter at Patreon at patreon.com/TOMM or at thinklifemedia.com. I also want to thank the open source community who creates such excellent software that makes producing this show possible. Please remember to support your software communities. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.